The conference room was sterile, all glass and chrome, the kind of place where decisions were made without warmth. Patricia Conway, my boss of 3 years, sat at the head of the table, her manicured nails tapping a slow rhythm on a manila folder. Her voice was sharp, slicing through the hum of the air conditioning. "Lillian, after 20 years, your role is obsolete." The word landed like a slap. Obsolete. Me. At 58, after 2 decades of building this company's reputation, I was being discarded like an outdated printer. "We're moving in a younger direction," she continued, her lips curling into a practiced smile. "You understand, don't you? It's just business." My hands tightened around the edge of my chair, the polished wood cool against my palms. I wanted to scream, to demand an explanation, but the weight of her words pinned me in place. Obsolete. The room seemed to tilt, the fluorescent lights buzzing louder in my ears. Across from me, Denise from HR slid a severance agreement toward me, her eyes avoiding mine. "Sign by end of day," she muttered. Patricia stood, smoothing her tailored blazer, already dismissing me. "Thank you for your service, Lillian. Security will escort you out." I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I stood, my knees steady despite the storm in my chest, and walked out with my head high. But as the glass door clicked shut behind me, I felt the sting of betrayal burn deep. Patricia thought she'd won. She thought I'd fade quietly into irrelevance. She had no idea what was coming. My name is Olivia, and for 2 decades, I was the heartbeat of Crestwood Marketing, a mid-sized firm nestled in the bustling heart of Charlotte, North Carolina. I wasn't just an employee, I was the architect of its success, the one who transformed a scrappy startup into a regional powerhouse. When I joined in 2005, Crestwood was a chaotic operation, mismatched desks crammed into a rented office, a coffee machine that leaked brown sludge, and a team of 6 nervous dreamers betting on ambition. I was 38, a junior account manager with a fire in my belly, fueled by black coffee and a belief that good work could change everything. My first big win came a year later, signing Harper & Sons, a local furniture chain. After weeks of refining my pitch in the dim glow of my desk lamp, my fingers smudged with ink from endless revisions. I still remember the thrill of Robert Harper's handshake, his gruff voice saying, "You've got grit, Olivia. We're in." That deal put Crestwood on the map, bringing in revenue that funded new hires and a proper office with windows that actually opened. Over the years, I climbed to Senior Director of Client Relations, a title carved from sweat, strategy, and countless late nights. I didn't just manage accounts, I built relationships, learning clients' quirks, the way Robert liked his coffee black, or how Carl and Gwyn of Pinnacle Resorts valued eco-friendly campaigns. I mentored new hires, teaching them to read a client's unspoken needs, to craft pitches that sang. I stayed late to proofread proposals, my reading glasses slipping down my nose as I marked up pages with red ink, the office silent except for the hum of my desk lamp. I brought in coffee runs for the team, laughing over shared donuts in the break room, the sugar dusting our fingers as we swapped stories. Crestwood wasn't just a job, it was my second home, its walls echoing with victories and camaraderie. My colleagues, Maria with her sharp wit, Sam with his endless optimism, felt like family, or so I believed. Outside work, my life was quieter but rich with meaning. My craftsman bungalow in Dilworth was my sanctuary, its front porch lined with potted ferns that swayed in the Carolina breeze, their leaves catching the golden light of morning. I'd spent years tending the garden, coaxing roses and lavender into bloom, my hands caked with soil as I worked through grief or stress. Mornings began with a ritual, brewing coffee in my French press, the rich, nutty aroma filling the kitchen as I sat at the oak table, reading the news on my tablet while my cat, Jasper, curled up beside me, his purring a steady comfort. My daughter, Sarah, had moved to Raleigh for her veterinary practice, but we talked every Sunday, her voice crackling through the phone as she shared stories of her latest patients, a limping spaniel, a feisty kitten. Those calls were my lifeline, her laughter a reminder of the family Tom and I had built. Tom, my husband, had passed 5 years ago, his heart giving out during a quiet Sunday hike in the Blue Ridge Mountains. His absence left a void I filled with work and routine, pouring my energy into Crestwood's campaigns. I'd kept his old toolbox in the garage, its rusted edges a testament to his love of fixing things, leaky faucets, creaky doors, my own doubts. "You're unstoppable, Lil," he'd say, his eyes crinkling with pride. Crestwood gave me purpose, a place to channel my grief into creation. I wasn't naive about the industry's shifts, social media's rise, influencer marketing, buzzwords like disruption tossed around like confetti. But I adapted, taking online courses in analytics, mastering platforms like Hootsuite, even pitching a TikTok campaign that tripled engagement for a local brewery. My performance reviews glowed, my client retention rate unmatched. I wasn't just keeping up, I was leading, my experience a compass in a sea of trends. So when Patricia called me into that conference room on a muggy Friday in June, I walked in expecting a routine discussion, not a guillotine. The signs of betrayal had been there, subtle at first, like whispers in the wind you don't hear until the storm hits. Patricia Conway had swept into Crestwood 3 years ago, a 42-year-old prodigy with a Harvard MBA and a wardrobe of tailored blazers that screamed ambition. Her charm was magnetic, sharp smiles, quick wit, a knack for commanding a room, but beneath the polish was a coldness, a calculation that set my instincts on edge. At first, I admired her drive. She pushed for bold campaigns, poached big-name clients from rival firms, and rebranded our office with sleek chrome furniture and neon signs proclaiming, "Innovate or die." Her vision was intoxicating, promising a future where Crestwood could compete with national agencies. I threw myself into her initiatives, staying late to brainstorm social media strategies, even hosting a launch party for our new logo, pouring champagne as Patricia toasted to disruption. But her vision had a shadow. 6 months into her tenure, I noticed her gravitating toward the younger staff, lingering at their desks to praise their fresh perspectives, while dismissing my ideas with a flick of her hand. "That's a bit traditional, Olivia," she'd say, her tone laced with condescension, when I pitched a print campaign that had doubled sales for a client. She started assigning me smaller accounts, local boutiques, mom-and-pop shops, while handing high-profile contracts to Jake, a 29-year-old hire with a man bun and a resume thinner than a business card. Jake was eager but green, fumbling client calls I'd spent years perfecting. I swallowed my frustration, telling myself it was temporary, that Patricia would see my value. But the slights piled up, each one a pebble in a growing avalanche. I remembered a team meeting last fall, where I'd presented a campaign for a regional bank, complete with data showing a 20% ROI from similar strategies. Patricia had cut me off mid-sentence, her smile tight. "Let's hear from Jake on this one," she said, nodding to him. He'd stumbled through a half-baked influencer idea, and she'd clapped like he'd reinvented advertising. Maria, my colleague of 10 years, caught my eye across the table, her expression a mix of sympathy and anger. After the meeting, she pulled me aside in the break room, the coffee machine gurgling behind us. "She's sidelining you, Olivia," Maria whispered. "Be careful." I brushed it off, not wanting to believe it, but her words stuck, a warning I couldn't ignore. Then came the emails. Late last year, I was accidentally copied on a thread between Patricia and the CFO, discussing streamlining senior roles to align with a dynamic future. My name wasn't mentioned, but the subtext was clear: I was expendable. I printed the email, my hands shaking as I tucked it into a folder in my desk's bottom drawer, a habit from years of documenting client contracts. Something told me to keep it, a quiet instinct honed by decades of navigating office politics. Other signs followed. Patricia stopped inviting me to strategy sessions, claiming they were for the core team. My office, once centrally located with a view of the atrium, was relocated to a corner near the copy machine, its constant wearing a backdrop to my work. Colleagues I'd mentored, Sam, who'd cried on my shoulder after his first botched pitch, Lisa, who'd thanked me for teaching her negotiation, began avoiding eye contact in the hallways, their laughter fading when I approached. I overheard whispers in the break room about digital natives and new blood, words that stung like paper cuts, each one deepening the wound. I wasn't blind to my age. At 58, I saw the industry's obsession with youth, new hires fresh from college, fluent in memes and algorithms, their energy intoxicating to leaders like Patricia. But I'd adapted, learning platforms like Sprout Social, attending webinars on AI-driven marketing, even pitching that TikTok campaign that had the brewery's owner raving. My clients loved me, their loyalty built on years of trust, not fleeting trends. Yet the whispers grew louder, the isolation more pronounced. The final clue came a week before my firing, as I worked late in the near-empty office, the janitor's vacuum humming down the hall. Patricia's office door was ajar, and her voice carried through the silence. "Olivia's reliable, but she's not the future," she said, her tone low but unmistakable. "We need someone who screams innovation. I've got a replacement lined up, young, hungry, perfect for the role." My stomach dropped, but I didn't confront her. Instead, I returned to my desk, my hands steady as I plugged in a USB drive and downloaded my client contact list, names, emails, phone numbers, relationships forged over decades. If Crestwood was planning to erase me, I'd make sure I left with everything I'd built. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, the severance agreement unopened beside a cold cup of tea, Jasper purring softly at my feet. The silence of my bungalow was heavy, broken only by the creak of the old oak table under my elbows. Obsolete. The word clawed at me, each letter a challenge to everything I'd believed about myself. I thought of the years I'd given Crestwood, late nights perfecting pitches, weekends spent at client dinners, the pride of watching our logo light up Charlotte's skyline. I'd been the one to negotiate our first $1 million contract, to train the team that now shunned me, to build a reputation that Patricia had inherited. And in one meeting, she'd reduced it all to nothing. Anger burned, hot and fierce, but doubt crept in, cold and insidious. Was she right? Was I too old, my methods too dated for a world of hashtags and viral videos? I'd seen colleagues my age pushed out, their desks cleared by interns who didn't know their names. Maybe I was obsolete, a relic of a time when loyalty and experience were currency. I picked up the severance papers, my fingers brushing the signature line. Signing would be the easy path, a few months' pay, a quiet retreat, a chance to slip into the shadows. But then I saw Tom's face in my mind, his crinkled smile as he called me his quiet warrior. "You don't give up, Lil," he'd said, his voice steady even in his final days. "You find a way." I set the papers down, my resolve hardening like steel. Patricia had underestimated me, mistaking my experience for weakness, my loyalty for complacency. I wasn't obsolete, I was indispensable, and I'd prove it. I opened my laptop, the screen's glow casting shadows across the table, and pulled up my client contact list. Names scrolled by: Robert Harper, Carla Nguyen, dozens of others, relationships built on trust, not trends. Patricia could take my title, my office, my parking spot, but she couldn't take my network. An idea sparked, tentative but growing brighter. If Crestwood didn't want me, I'd build something better. I'd show them what 20 years of grit could do. I reached for my phone and dialed Sarah. Her voice was thick with sleep, but concern cut through as I spoke. "Mom, what's wrong?" "It's late." I took a deep breath, the weight in my chest easing slightly. "They fired me, sweetheart," I said. "Called me obsolete. But I'm not done, not even close." Sarah's response was fierce, her veterinarian's calm replaced by a daughter's fire. "Obsolete? You? They're idiots. What's the plan?" I smiled, her belief in me a lifeline. "I'm starting my own agency," I said, the words solidifying as I spoke them. "And I need your help to make it happen." We talked for an hour, her voice grounding me as I outlined my vision. By the time I hung up, the doubt was gone, replaced by a fire I hadn't felt in years. The next morning, I woke with a clarity that felt like sunlight breaking through fog. The Carolina dawn painted my bedroom in hues of gold, the curtains swaying gently in the breeze. I dressed with purpose: navy blazer, crisp white blouse, the pearl necklace Tom had given me for our 20th anniversary, its weight a reminder of his faith in me. This wasn't just another day, it was the start of a rebellion. I drove to the Daily Grind, a coffee shop with exposed brick walls and the warm scent of roasted beans, and claimed a corner table, my laptop humming to life. My first call was to Ellen Carter, a lawyer I'd met through a client years ago, her sharp mind and warm laugh a perfect blend of steel and empathy. "Olivia, you sound different," Ellen said, her voice tinged with curiosity. I laid out the story: the firing, Patricia's obsolete remark, the severance trap, the email I'd saved about streamlining senior roles. Ellen listened, her pen scratching faintly in the background, then let out a low whistle. "Wrongful termination, age discrimination, and a paper trail. You've got a case, Olivia. But more than that, you've got leverage. That client list could be your golden ticket." She advised me not to sign the severance agreement and to gather every scrap of evidence: performance reviews, client emails, project records. "And check your non-compete clause," she added. "If it's expired, you're free to compete. If it's active, we'll fight it." I spent the day digging through my personal email, a digital archive of my 20-year career. I found a 2019 email from Crestwood's former CEO, John Reynolds, praising my unparalleled dedication for securing a $2 million account with a regional bank. Another from 2021, where a client called my campaign a game changer, crediting me with a 30% sales spike. I saved every document to a secure cloud drive, my fingers steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. Then I called Robert Harper, CEO of Harper & Sons, the furniture chain that had been my first big win 18 years ago. We'd built a bond over years of lunches, swapping stories about his grandkids and my garden. "Olivia, what's this about you leaving Crestwood?" he asked, his voice booming through the phone. I told him the truth, my voice calm but firm. "They fired me, Robert. Called me obsolete. But I'm starting my own agency, and I'd love to keep working with you." He chuckled, a deep, warm sound. "Obsolete? You're the best in the business. Harper & Sons is yours. Let's meet tomorrow." That call was the catalyst. Over the next week, I contacted 5 other long-term clients: Carla and Gwynn of Pinnacle Resorts, a brewery owner, a tech startup CEO, 2 retail chains, all of whom trusted me implicitly. Each one agreed to follow me if I launched my own firm, their loyalty a testament to the relationships I'd nurtured. I met Ellen at her office, a cozy space lined with law books and family photos, to draft incorporation papers for Harper Marketing Solutions. The name was a tribute to Robert, but also to my own legacy, a declaration that my work would endure. Ellen reviewed my Crestwood contract, her eyes lighting up. "Your non-compete expired in 2022, she said, grinning. "Patricia's team didn't even check. You're free to build your empire." I left her office with a fire in my chest, the incorporation papers clutched in my hand, ready to rewrite my story. My plan unfolded with the precision of a campaign I'd spent years perfecting. I leased a small office in downtown Charlotte, a sunlit space with hardwood floors and tall windows that framed the city's skyline. It was modest compared to Crestwood's glass and chrome headquarters, but it felt alive, its walls waiting to hold my vision. I hired a freelance designer to create a logo, a sleek, modern take on my initials, bold yet timeless, and built a website showcasing my 20 years of results, from million-dollar campaigns to client testimonials. I reached out to Maria and Sam, 2 former Crestwood colleagues who'd left after clashing with Patricia's micromanaging. Over coffee at the Daily Grind, their faces lit up as I pitched my agency. She's tanking Crestwood, Maria said, stirring her latte. Half the team's updating their resumes. Count me in. Sam nodded, his enthusiasm infectious. I'm tired of her innovation and nonsense. Let's do this right. Client outreach was my next step, but I kept it discreet, contacting only those I'd personally managed. I met Robert Harper for lunch at a diner he loved, its red vinyl booths and jukebox a throwback to our early days. He signed a contract on the spot, his pen scratching across the paper as he grumbled about Crestwood's new hires. They sent Jake to pitch us last week, he said, shaking his head. Kid couldn't answer basic questions. You're the real deal, Olivia. By the end of the month, I'd secured 6 clients, their contracts enough to launch Harper Marketing with a solid foundation. Maria and Sam joined me in the office, turning the empty space into a hub of creativity, whiteboards scrawled with ideas, laptops humming, coffee mugs piling up on the table. The real coup was the Pinnacle Resorts pitch, a $5 million account I'd courted for years at Crestwood. I knew their CEO, Carla Gwynn, from industry conferences, where we'd bonded over shared frustrations and strong coffee. I'd remembered her preference, black, no sugar, and sent her a handwritten note after each meeting, a small gesture that built trust. I'd heard Crestwood was pitching Pinnacle the following week, Patricia leading the charge with Jake as her second. I called Carla, my heart pounding as the line rang. Olivia, I was wondering when I'd hear from you, she said, her voice warm. Crestwood's lost its spark without you. I explained my firing and my new agency, keeping my tone professional but candid. If Pinnacle's open to it, I'd love to pitch you directly. She didn't hesitate. I trust you, Olivia. Crestwood's pitch is next week, but I'd rather work with someone who gets us. Send me your proposal. I spent 3 days crafting the pitch, pulling all-nighters like I did in my 30s, my kitchen table buried under notes and energy bar wrappers. Maria and Sam were my lifelines, refining visuals and mocking up social media mock-ups. We tailored the campaign to Pinnacle's eco-friendly ethos, blending data-driven strategies with heartfelt storytelling. I emailed the proposal to Carla, my finger lingering over the send button, a mix of nerves and excitement coursing through me. This wasn't just a pitch, it was a declaration, that I wasn't obsolete, that my experience was a force Patricia couldn't erase. The fallout was swift and seismic. On the morning of Crestwood's Pinnacle pitch, I was in my office, sipping coffee and reviewing contracts, when Maria burst in, her phone clutched tightly. Pinnacle pulled out of Crestwood's pitch, she said, grinning. They're signing with us. I stared at her, my pulse racing, then checked my email. Carla had confirmed, her message concise but glowing, your vision aligns with ours, Olivia. Harper Marketing has Pinnacle Resorts. I leaned back in my chair, a smile breaking across my face. The industry buzzed within hours, a trade newsletter running a headline, Crestwood loses Pinnacle Resorts to new agency led by former exec. My phone lit up with calls, former colleagues offering congratulations, competitors sniffing for details, even a recruiter asking if I'd consult for their firm. I kept my responses short, my focus on the future. But the storm hit that afternoon when Patricia called. Her voice was a blade, barely masking her fury. Olivia, this is low, even for you. Poaching our clients. I could sue you for this. I stood in my office, the skyline glittering through the window, and let her rant. When she paused, I spoke, my tone ice cold. Sue me for what, Patricia? Building relationships over 20 years. You called me obsolete. I'm just proving you wrong. She sputtered, her composure fracturing. You signed a non-compete. You can't, I cut her off. It expired in 2022. Maybe you should have checked your files. The silence was thick, her breathing heavy on the line. This isn't over, she hissed before hanging up. It wasn't over, for Crestwood. Over the next month, 3 more clients left them for Harper Marketing, citing my track record and personalized approach. Crestwood's stock plummeted 15%, and rumors of layoffs swirled. Maria forwarded me an internal memo where Patricia blamed market volatility, but the truth was undeniable: her younger direction was a disaster. Jake, her golden boy, botched a major pitch, losing another client to a rival firm. Industry blogs dissected Crestwood's decline, one calling Patricia's leadership a cautionary tale in hubris. I faced my own challenges: long hours, tight budgets, the pressure of running a startup at 58. There were nights I doubted myself, staring at spreadsheets as Jasper slept on my lap, wondering if I'd bitten off too much. But Sarah was my anchor, driving down to help set up the office, hanging a framed photo of me and Tom on the wall. "Dad would be so proud," she said, her eyes shining. Maria and Sam kept me grounded, their banter filling the office with life. Each hurdle was a chance to prove myself, not a wall to stop me. 6 months later, I stood at the Charlotte Business Awards, accepting a plaque for Entrepreneur of the Year. The ballroom was alive with the clink of champagne glasses and the hum of conversation, its chandeliers casting golden light across the crowd. I wore a deep emerald dress, my hair swept up, the pearl necklace gleaming against my skin. In my speech, I thanked my team, my clients, and Sarah, who sat in the front row, her smile radiant. I didn't mention Crestwood, but Patricia was there, seated near the back, her face a mask of forced civility. Our eyes met for a moment, and I saw the flicker of regret she'd never voice. Harper Marketing had grown to 12 employees, our client roster rivaling Crestwood's peak. We'd signed a national retailer, a deal that cemented our place in the industry. Crestwood, meanwhile, was a shadow of its former self, hemorrhaging talent and accounts. Patricia had been demoted to a regional role, her vision exposed as a house of cards. Industry blogs hailed my comeback, one calling me the Phoenix of Charlotte marketing. I didn't chase the spotlight, but I savored the irony: the woman she'd dismissed as obsolete had outshone her. Back on my porch, I sat with Jasper purring in my lap, the night air soft with jasmine. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah: "You're unstoppable, Mom." I smiled, thinking of the journey from that sterile conference room to this moment. I hadn't just survived Patricia's betrayal, I'd thrived, building something new not out of spite, but out of strength. That was the sweetest victory of all. What would you do if someone called you obsolete? I chose to prove them wrong, and I'm just getting started.